Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Economic Preppers. This is Jeff here. Here's my Twitter handle. I've got it right there. Okay, this is part 2 of a video. I did part 1 over on my YouTube channel, which I'll post over here, Lender Litecoin Leader, because it's a crypto story, but it also has economic and international flavor. So this is where the economic and international flavor, and if you're wondering, it's time for Plan B, just so you know what the shirt says. I'm going to talk about the big story that was released right before Thanksgiving. I love their timing. It's a great job that they did. That they love to talk about these sort of things, and it's about the guy who's in charge of one of the biggest crypto exchanges on the planet, and that is, or used to be in charge, and that's CZ, otherwise known as Xiaoping Zhang. And CZ, much easier to say, has been forced to resign through an agreement because he was charged and had to plead guilty to AML, or anti-money laundering rules, that he allegedly broke. He struck a plea agreement and he pled guilty. That he was sued for this, as well as Binance, and he stepped down as the CEO of Binance as well. He's still a shareholder there. He did make sure that he made the agreement. He's getting sentenced in February. There's a conversation that it started. The first court appearance happened this week again about whether he's allowed to go back home. Let's see, that's right here. So CZ, he may not leave the U.S. pending a court review. So right now there's a particular judge that was appointed by George Bush in 2007, Richard Jones in the state of Washington. And he's, according to this video, which give credit where credit is due to the Coin Bureau guy and his team, they made mention of this and they delved into it a little bit further. But I'm going to talk about a number of different aspects of this. And it's a really interesting story about the overreach that they're doing. So we have a judge who has a history of overreach, and that's documented or stated over by a guy at Coin Bureau, who may not allow CZ to go home to his family because he lives in the UAE and his family can't travel. They're not allowed to go on international travel. They don't have the paperwork to do that. They can't come to the US. CZ is supposed to be sentenced in February. He could face some prison time. He was already fined $150 million personally. But the important thing that happened was on Tuesday, there was a press conference. And this press conference came from the CFTC. Janet Yellen was there, who was so involved in the case that she called it the Binance company instead of Binance. So Janet Yellen was there. The entire CFTC was there, and they announced that this is just an example of what they're capable of doing as far as analyzing and digging into and regulating, essentially, cryptocurrency exchanges. And they said it was not just centralized exchanges like Binance, but also decentralized exchanges. So they looked at historical transactions through Binance and going forward. And part of the settlement is that Binance must produce any evidence or any transactions that they think that might be involving illicit parties or sanctioned parties. And they have the rights to look backwards as well. And apparently Binance has been investigated for the last several years. And they found, I'm going to check my notes here so I get this right, 100,000 accounts, over 100,000 accounts, and over 1.5 million transactions that may be subject to AML or KYC. Now, AML or KYC, that's anti-money laundering laws or know your customer laws. Those weren't always in place when crypto exchanges started. So Binance got out there. They were huge. They changed their headquarters to different countries to avoid this kind of situation. And then the United States, they started getting into trouble. So they made Binance US. I want to be clear that Binance US is not impacted or fined by this. Binance International is the one that was impacted by this. And I say impacted, it was basically a slap on the wrist. It wasn't that big of a deal. So let me talk about how those rules came to be, because we've talked in this channel about a number of non-governmental organizations or NGOs that are out there and trying to push their doctrines, their beliefs, their rules, the you will own nothing and like it kind of agenda. So we're talking about the WHO, the WEF, all these different organizations. They're not elected, but they assume power and they push power everywhere. Now, the WHO and the WEF are well known, but there's another one called the FATF. Okay. Now the FATF, that stands for the Financial Action Task Force. And I'll just share this very briefly just to give you an idea. Right at the top, the Financial Action Task Force is a global watchdog that sets international standards to prevent money laundering and terrorist financing. Now, who runs that? Who puts these people on this board? I don't know. I have no idea. But what this is another entity that's out there that's attempting to regulate things. So the FATF is putting rules on crypto, or trying to. They're pushing the KYC, they're pushing the AML, they're pushing sanctions, they're pushing looking at transactions. So this action against Binance involved the FATF indirectly, but it goes back to the FATF. Now the FATF, going back to that video that Guy produced, which is about a half hour long, but worth watching. The FATF is a non-governmental organization that's closely aligned with the United States. So that's something to be very interested, because we talked about Choke Point 2.0, which has been going on for basically a year now, where they try to limit the dollars escaping the U.S. system, the U.S. dollar fiat system, and going to something else, going to a non-fiat system, or a true money system like cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, which other countries are adopting at a rapid pace, but they're not talking about that in the U.S. because the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about that. But we have Argentina just electing a president last week or so who's very pro-Bitcoin, a very anti-central bank. So we're moving towards on a global scale, non-fiat currency and non-central banks, which is a great thing, because you don't want your money to be controlled by someone else. This action against Binance and CZ is just another example of this choke point indirectly. But the overreach, which I wanted to talk about, but both the judge trying to limit CZ to be able to go back home or not for the next 3 months, and CZ, I wouldn't be surprised if CZ doesn't come back. Why would he come back if he's just going to face this? Send his lawyers back. I don't know. But yeah, he has a flight risk. He has a lot of money and he may not come back. So that is a flight risk. So it's an interesting story there. But I'm just looking over here. I want to talk about the timeline. This is going to get a little bit more involved here. But the timeline of how the SEC and the CFTC started to come after CZ, why this happened, and how it came to be. Now, they said the press conference that they've been looking at Binance for years. What's interesting is that, and this is an interesting timeline, we have about a year. Here we are now in November 2023. In November of 2022, if you recall, FTX basically went under. We get exposed. CZ was involved in that exposure. Now, CZ has done other things on Binance, certainly, but he lifted the rug and exposed what was moving around, and literally with funds and how they were laundering funds with FTX. He was part of that exposure. After that happened, these sorts of things started to pop up. First, you had, Binance sued by CFTC in March. Okay, that was March of 2023. So they've been looking at Binance for years, but now lawsuits coming out in 2023, a few months after the FTX conversation, where CZ was a big voice on crypto Twitter about this. Then 3 months later, the SEC sues Binance and CZ for U.S. securities violations in June of 2023. So, and now you have this particular case that happened, and this the sentencing and this agreement and this settlement that happened in November. So all this is in 2023. Now, if they've been looking at Binance for so long, and CZ started to expose, which may be like these NGOs and these other organizations that are overreaching into the crypto space to keep people out from moving dollars into the crypto space, it's very interesting timing. So pay attention to that FATF, which is a very dangerous organization out there, which is another NGO. So there's several of them out there. They get their power because people appoint them there, and then basically they get funded from the dollar fiat system. So interesting times in the crypto space. I'm not going to draw any conclusions, but I'll let you draw them yourselves. Please leave a comment down below what your thoughts are. I'll put this out there and let you guys explore it. But I just wanted to put this out there so you're prepared and not scared when you start to see other impacts to maybe a crypto exchange or your inability to get crypto, but that's why economic preppers exist. We will help you. We will point you in the right direction. We'll explain cryptocurrency. I'm doing basics of cryptocurrency, just the basic terms and the basic terminology over on Litecoin Leader all throughout the month. And I'm creating a playlist for that. We also have economic preppers right here. If you go to our website, Economic Preppers, we have both wallets, and we also have our course. So let me just share that real quick. So let me share my screen. Here we go. There's the Economic Preppers website. If you go up here in the corner, you've got the Economic Preppers wallet, and you also got Becoming Your Own Bank. That's our course that we allow you to enroll in. If you're interested in that, please check it out. It's nominal. It's not that much. I don't even know what the price is these days. Let's attempt to order it. I think it's a few $100. It's only $297, and you get 13 videos. We're constantly adding to it. So that's more to explain why you need crypto, what the purpose is behind it. And we are, of course, here all the time. We have a membership group as well. If you're interested in any of that stuff, please leave me a note or reach out to me right here on Twitter, or reach out at info@economicpreppers.com. We're here to help you guys, but we want to make sure that you're prepared and not scared and have the information you need and see what we're seeing as we piece things together, because we see a lot. So just because of the volume, not because we're not remote viewers or anything, but we can put things together, and we talk about this all the time. We live and breathe this stuff. So with all that said, I just wanted to draw a conclusion about the story, share part 2. Be sure to check out part 1 up here over on my other YouTube channel, and I hope to talk to you soon. Take care.